Alright guys, we are going to be taking a look today at how to defend Widowmine drops. That's right, Cascade has sent this one in, and already we see a big problem at this point. That's right, I know people are like, I want to see the boomy booms, Pig. No. Huge mistakes have already been made, and this is why it's all about the system in the setup, guys. A lot of people are always looking at how do you react, and they always think it's about last minute on the fly reactions. Pro gamers are doing fucking triple backflips trying to figure out how to respond and how to adapt. They're not. They're just setting up better than you guys. So first things first, Cascade is getting already up to 7 gateways before 5 minutes, and a robo pumping immortals, and a robo bay up, and 45 probes. In terms of just hitting your raw macro beats, spending your money, Cascade here is like just incredible economy management, smashing the way up the tech tree. It's awesome. The problem here arises from the fact that this is a bit too greedy. And what is one of the rules that we apply for PvT specifically? That is, you should always have at least 5, I like to say 6 gateway units ready at about 4 minutes 40. So about pro gamer timing is about just after 4:30, 4:35, 4:40 is usually when the first Widowmine drop will come in off an expansion build, right? And we can see this one from Sentry is actually pretty crisp. 450, pretty close to that, considering we are looking at a gold league game, right? 50, 60 APM players. So what you want to do is you want to actually make sure that you get your second and third gateway up a lot earlier and get some units to defend. In this case, you can see I normally say about 315, 320. If you start your extra second and third gateway at about this time, no later than 325, you can have those gateways up and warp in off them in time. So the rule I have is build 3 gateway units before warp gate finishes out of your gateways. That warp gate, it's a little late, but that's okay. If you start a second and third gateway before 3:30, you're going to be able to warp in 3 more stalkers on 4:30, and you'll have 6 stalkers ready. Okay, that's going to be huge. That's going to be really, really helpful because it allows you to shut these drops down a little bit more. So if you're opening up with any build order, you should always have, I would say the minimum is 5 gateway units. If you can have 6, 7, or even 8, that's going to be great. Okay, but notice, what are we building? Safety battery. Really, really quick third and fourth gas. The pylon is necessary, but the battery and these 2 gases are not necessary. Now, obviously, we didn't actually see an expand, but we saw a bunker, so I assume we can assume this is an expansion probably. But yeah, just delay these gases until after you get the second and third gateway. It's going to make you build a little bit safer. I know if you're doing Sentry, Stalker, Colossus, you really want the gas, but just get those gates started, and you should be all good. So, other than that, what do you do? Well, so from about 4 minutes 30 onwards, and it may be 4 minutes 40. If I'm in Silver League, if I'm in Gold League, probably 4:40. Obviously, you know, this advice you want to scale to your own league. A lot of people are really much more aware of what's going on. But what I would do is I would just leave 3 units in my natural mineral line, 3 in my main. So this is the hands-off way of defending, okay? Now, that basically means as units unload, you've already got units shooting them. And there's a good chance, if your opponent's not high level, they're not even going to burrow the Widowmines quick enough. They'll just die, and you can even just A-move your probes and defend it. But the other important thing is, what's the dream? Well, the dream is spotting the medevac ahead of time, coming across the map and going, ooh, and you see it coming in, and you move all 6 stalkers here, and it tries to come in, and you kill it in 2 shots. So what is the magic number? The medevac takes 9 stalker shots to die. So if you have 5 stalkers, you can 2-shot it, 5 or more. If you have 3 stalkers, it's going to take 3 shots. And killing the medevac is awesome because it's going to stop them coming back in, dropping again later, picking up, dropping, all that sort of stuff. So at high level, killing the medevac is crucial. It's super huge. And if you're on the edge over here, when that medevac flies in, guess what? You're going to kill it before it unloads any medevacs. If you have 5 stalkers. If you have 3, maybe not. Which is why just running the probes away is really, really important. Okay? So in this scenario, at pro level, we target the medevac. If you don't do that, maybe you just A-move. That's okay. But notice what I said. If we just had 3 stalkers here, they'd shoot the medevac one time, and then he starts unloading. And if we just A-moved our probes as well, and our stalkers, they'd all start attacking, right? This is a high-risk maneuver that you'd only do if you are aware of the drop from early on, right? And we would have already A-moved, by the way, so these stalkers would be trying to come down to our natural. And he actually continues on. But notice it took him a second there to start burrowing. So if we just A-moved with the probes and the stalkers, we could kill it. but it's a high risk maneuver. So normally what we would do instead is we'd just grab all the probes, maybe a control click, and just right click over here. Or we just box them and click them away, and then A move our stalkers again. But if our stalkers are in the mineral line, we don't want to accidentally pull them away. That's why control clicking the probes and then just control click, right click is the way to do it. And if you're reacting very slowly, of course, what's something else we can do, guys? We can then send, as the probes run away, we left click a probe, click it. Left click a probe, click it, so that single probes go in and tank the Widowmine shots, okay? Now, because we didn't damage the medevac, in fact, none of our units were in position. They were all standing in random Reaper ledge spots, which it's 5 minutes. We don't need to be bothered with that. And at the front, it's going to get into both mineral lines for free. And that's going to be no reaction whatsoever from us, right? Which is a big problem. And, guys, if the Widowmine hasn't revealed itself, what do we do? Do we not have recall energy? No, we've got recall energy. Go to your observer and recall it. And then clean up the Widowmines. Prioritize this one and then this one. And there was no need to pull our probes away at all in this game because the Widowmines had already fired, right? So we should have recalled the observer, and then we could have thought about pulling probes away if we wanted to. But recalling the observer is the most important thing. Obviously, if you don't have an observer, chrono boost one, and make sure it's rallied to where the Widowmines are. So when you build it, rally it to where the Widowmine is. Otherwise, you're in big trouble. But yeah. So as Max Sand points out, guys, like, yeah, you would never sit on the edge unless you saw the medevac ahead of time, okay? So there are some little bonus things, right? So let's talk a little bit about pylon positioning, which he mentioned, which is something which definitely really helps, because if you see these units ahead of time, it's great. And to be fair, our robo and our observers are actually insanely late. If you go robo first, you should probably get an observer early enough to see what's going on, right? So if we're going probes, stalker, why are we so low on gas? I don't know, Warpgate did start up. Okay. Sorry. Checking the opening really quickly. Cybercore. Little slow to start building extra probes here. We should start, after that Cybercore, it's build a probe, then build a gas, then build a probe, then build a pylon. So we're a little slow to start building probes there. They could have started a bit earlier. And that's because we wanted to get the pylon in the low ground. But you'll see like Parting and Hero and stuff do this, so it's not the end of the world. If there's top pro gamers that do it, you know, whatevs. It's fine. Stalker. Warpgate finally coming in, and then we should see the Robo on 100 gas. So obviously it looks like we get distracted by the Reaper a little bit. But do try to, yeah, and because we built a second Stalker straight away, which is very gas heavy. So definitely we could have got, the earlier you get the Robo, the earlier you get the Observer. And then if you see the direction the medevac leaves, like it flies out to the left of your base, you're like, of his base, you're like, cool, I'll stand all my Stalkers down here, right? So other things you can get is you can put spotting units out, right? So you can leave a probe or a pylon or a Stalker up there. You can leave a probe or a pylon or a Stalker down here, or even behind your third base is a popular one. The funny thing is, we can play that game as much as we want, right? And you guys can take that to as much of a level as you want with where you spot it coming from and how you move to respond. But the base level of just have units in each mineral line, and then from about 430, 440 onwards, just be on high alert. Be very aware of, hey, this stuff could come in right now. Especially if your observer comes in right now and you see this sort of setup, you see a reactor, factory, and an armory, what are you going to do? If you scout this earlier, remember this observer was super late, right? So if we spotted this now, what would we do, guys? We'd immediately start building more observers. We already should be on 6 Stalkers rather than just 3 because of what I talked about in terms of safety in our opening. But we'd be building more observers because we know armory equals invisible widow mines. It means that after they fire, they remain invisible. So we need extra observers at home. I might even recall this observer immediately just so it's ready straight away. And I'd be on high alert, kind of like, all right, I got six Stalkers here in the natural. We're going to do it that way. Another way you could do it is you could leave the units in the middle so they can respond. And then when the Widowmine drop comes in, say it comes from the top, you just move over here to intercept so it can't move into your natural. And you just pull your probes away, click them here, send 2 probes back or 3 probes if there's 3 Widowmines, and you're feeling good. What if they drop Hellbat? Says ICIR. Well, if you're leaving 3 units here and 3 units here, they're going to easily kill those Hellbats. If Hellbats drop in, you control click the probes, run them away by clicking the minerals or just by clicking them away. Your 3 gateway units will kill that really easily. How many stalkers with no upgrades to one-shot a medevac? 9. So we told you guys just before that was the first most important point when it comes to super pro defense. 3 stalkers, 3 shots, 5 stalkers, 2 shots. That's it. Now, obviously, another good thing with any sort of Colossus style, you got the robo. Why not just build 3 observers from the start? If you're playing this style, and actually Max Hand's already on it as well, why wouldn't we just keep building observers? So your first one can go across to scout. Your second observer can go up here, pervert mode, right? Just make sure it sees the edge. And your next one down here, pervert mode, right? And then later on, when you take this third, you can obviously move these observers out onto the map or whatever, if you want to. Maybe leave this one up here watching the main the whole time. And that's going to give you early warning, which means all 6 of those stalkers can easily run in and defend. If you guys are practicing your control groups really well, you're a more advanced player, this is also a good point to practice your control groups. So your 3 stalkers in the main should naturally be on your drop defense control group, right? And then the stalkers in the natural should be your main army key. So main army covers the front base, drop defense crew defends that. And that's something where you should be doing that as much as possible. I need coaching at Destroyed Bay Little Bro. He's playing super well. Yeah, he's a beast, dude. He's just such a macro virgin TERRAN Stardock. It's hard when someone's just that good at just macroing, man, and is so happy to just build a billion units and chill. So yeah, that's about it, guys. We can fast forward this, but I think we've covered the basics. Do you guys think I missed anything? When running away workers, do you use a hotkey to easily return them once the threat is removed? Oh, that's a really advanced tip, Mike, but I love that tip. So I definitely do this a lot. I don't always do it, depending on how panicked I am. If I'm reacting at the last second, I might not, right? But usually what I do, whenever I'm pulling workers to fight or to run away from a pressure, if I'm just queuing them to run there and then go straight back to mining, which I would never do with Widowmine drop, but if I was doing that in another scenario, say there's a Liberator about to die, and I'm like, oh, you guys just run away and then go back to mining because the Liberator will be dead. It's dying to a cannon or whatever. That's fine. Don't need to control group them. But if I'm running away and I'm waiting until the Widowmines are off, I will often put those on my third army group or whatever, my second army group, something like that. Some hotkey that I'm not using in the early game. And then later on in the chaos, I can just click that hotkey, click them back in the minerals. That's a really cool tip. Yeah. All right, guys, so this is the first Widowmine drop. Get some good damage. We had such a good economy. We are still ahead in this game. But you can see that Cascade has no system for dealing with this, in that it just feels like we realized really slow what happened, and then we didn't rally the observer over. And we're still not warping in units. Now, one of the things you can do, hot tip, guys, in this scenario, if they have Widowmines, you can't reveal them. Guess what? If you're not playing pros, grab these units, stand them here. The Widowmine, I'm pretty sure will always prioritize a combat unit over a non-combat unit. Actually, is that true, or does it just shoot the closest thing? I think it chooses fighting units over non-fighting units, right, guys? Can someone test that for me? I'm saying that because basically what I'll do is if you have a Stalker like there, the Widowmine's going to shoot it, the splash won't kill any probes. If you have a Stalker and Immortal standing there, shoots the Immortal, does a bit of damage, doesn't even kill it, doesn't kill any probes. And that way, you're going to absorb the next shot while your observers get over in position and get built and stuff without doing it. So check it out. All right, so we finally bring the observer back, and we A-move the probes. But notice we're not using any control groups right now. And as someone who I know doesn't use F2, we really want to have some control groups coming in right now. And like there, we A-moved probes. But guys, if you ever A-move probes, A-move, shift right-click back on the minerals so we don't have to do that. And try not to pull them off gas because that's extra actions to put them back on. So that's actually huge. Anyone can submit replays, guys. Doesn't matter what level you are, even if you're GM. Yeah. Obviously, we try to prioritize as many new replays as we can. But look at how many units we have that aren't fighting right now. And for some reason, we're sending a Zealot counterattack across the map. Just figure out your basics in this scenario. Like, the fact is, we're just not using control groups. And that's crazy to me. The first thing here is this Observer and these Stalkers and this Immortal should all be on Control 1. And we should just be A-moving them around methodically to clean up this pressure. But we can see there's no real system here, and we're just getting absolutely thrown off our game. Whereas we actually could have come out on this on top. We just need to be more used to it. We already have more gateways than we can possibly use, and now we're so panicked and thrown off kilter that we're just doing random things. We're like, I need 10 gateways on 30 probes. But we could have actually kept probing during all of this. Whenever you're taking damage like this, once you've done your base things of build observers, get units in position, keep building probes, keep chronoing. If you're taking damage, building probes, chronoing probes, dropping a third nexus in the midst of the action, all ways of making sure you can bounce back from that damage, and it would be absolutely massive. But yeah, just like in situations like that, it's very important you guys memorize your exact, okay, get my army that's going to clean up the Widow Mines, put them on control 1, get the observer out, add it to control, you know, shift 1, clean up the main's cleaned up, go to the natural, clean up the natural, go back to macroing. And memorize those set actions. What we just saw from Cascade was a man chasing his tail. Man, lady, woman, whatever, Protoss, Derphead, Zerg, Riri, Terran Dum Dum. Fucking point is, chasing the tail around. And that's what happens when you don't have a set order of actions and you're trying to kind of make it up on the fly. And that's a hard position. We even see pros mess up with the Burrowed Widow Mines, the Invisible Mines. But just thinking of that muscle memory of, Burrowed, it's Invisible Mines? Okay, look, where is my observer on the minimap? Find it, recall it, add it to your army group, get that army group, clean up the main, then clean up the natural, go back to probing, build a third, you got it. So guys, Legoland went for a Proxy Glaive Adept this game, and says, look, in PvZ, should I stay on the charge.arc on a Mortal Comp, or try to transition if my opponent's going just Roaches and Ravagers? In this game, I opened with a Proxy Glaive Adepts. I did a lot of damage, but my opponent reacted with a max out 3 base Roach Ravage push with no upgrades. In retrospect, I should have realized he was all in. I didn't, but is the best response to just defend and max out myself, or should I look to transition? Now, obviously, it can get a bit awkward because like Zealots in medium numbers can just get kind of kited and stuff by Roach Ravager, so it takes pretty advanced micro if they have pretty advanced micro. So Roach Ravager versus Zealot Archon Immortal can actually be a really interesting battle where micro is huge, because if you just A move and they kite and they move, they stutter step backwards, they're going to kill all your Roaches without really fighting the Immortal Archon. So you need to like actually pull back your stuff. Archons in general are really easy to get kited as well. And it's your Immortals that really hold the line, right? Immortals plus batteries and falling back with them. And the thing is, if your Immortals fight them on the edge of range, Immortals kick the shit out of Roaches, right? They destroy them like really hard. Problem. Hey, Andy Ulirush, thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream, mate. So the problem is that if they jump on top, they're going to just one-shot your Immortals. So the idea is basically your Immortals are fighting, but you don't want to go too far from batteries. And then your Zealot Archon sits behind. And if they come forward, then your Zealot Archon goes in. If they try to jump on the Immortals. But otherwise, it's mostly your Immortals that are like skirmishing with them. And a Roach Ravager player is not going to be very happy to skirmish with Immortals for too long, and because they'll want to jump in and just kill the Immortals as quickly as possible. But that's when, if they're running into your army and just headbutting into it, Zealot Archon destroys. But if they're kiting backwards, Zealot Archon very bad. So that's the dynamic. I do love that you're going double Robo, Legoland. This is awesome. By the way, this is a really good build order. We can definitely criticize what you could do better with the Adepts, but I think, like, in terms of the timing you've hit here and everything, this is a lovely build order. I really am impressed with your build. I think this is just, like, this is everything I love about a PvZ pressure build, my dude. This is so well done. So, like, the timing you hit, like, oh, spectacular. Problem is you did lose, obviously, quite a lot of Adepts, and you didn't kill that. Well, actually, no, you did get 20 drones. And obviously, he's already got the lair, so he could, like, already have Roach Speed on the way. But he's going to take a little while to regrow anyway, which is usually the case. All right, so we've only taken 1 gas. We do need to put, yeah, we need to try to get up to 4 gases ASAP. No worries. We're probing non-stop. That's good. Now, obviously, we've only got 3 gateways. We're going to build a battery at the 3rd. We've actually built, like, a whole bunch of Stalkers. Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's kind of expensive, though, the Stalkers. I would have rathered we just start charge and save the gas for like more Immortals or whatever, but it is what it is. I do think we also should have chronoed Observer first, just because it builds so fast, and that's going to tell us if a counterattack's coming. Whereas right now you're in this middle ground of like, I don't know, dude, he could be coming at me with just like Roach Ravager Ling all in. I have no idea. And imagine if he had like 6 Ravagers and you're scared of Roaches to defend the counter push. Yeah, but the thing is, like, it's better to see the push coming so you actually know. Right? Because the thing is, if you just chrono boost it and you build out in the straightaway, it's like just always build an Observer as one of the first units, because otherwise you're sitting here with no idea. Because what if he came in with Lings and just surrounded this and killed you, right? Biles down the battery and one of the Stalkers and everything gets surrounded. Your units do no damage to Zerglings. If he has like 6 Ravagers and 40 Zerglings, you lose the game right now. Whereas if you warp in 6 Adepts first, 4 Adepts first, they're going to kill those Zerglings pretty quickly, right? Whereas if you know it's pure Roach Ravager, obviously we don't want to make any Adepts. We just want to start making Zealots, Immortals, and keep doing that stuff. So that's the thing is, like, I've fallen into that habit before as well. But then you're sitting there in this zone of like, hey, if he is all-inning you, you don't need to be building probes and gases right now. All you need to do is Chrono Immortals, right? And Zealots. Just Chrono units. On the other hand, if he's droning to 60, 70 workers, okay, we need to continue with all of our tech progression. So information is so huge and you are so blind right now. Also, like, what if he's going muters? We don't know. Getting an observer out there just gives you so much extra little bits of information. So always build an observer first is like a really good tip. Now, other than that, I do feel like we could have built 7 gateways because we've been floating money. So I don't know why we didn't just build 7 or 8 gateways in the main. Instead, we only built 3 down here. So it's a little bit disorganized. And we took a gas, but we didn't put guys on gas straight away. And notice you also took 1 gas here. So what you've done here is your build is really disorganized past the early game Legoland. Why did we take 1 gas, put guys on gas, 1 gas, forget to put on gas, 1 gas, put guys on gas, 1 gas? Why aren't we just taking 2 gases, put the guys on, 2 gases, put it on? So clean your build up and the follow up. This is very common. A lot of people have very tight early game and then it falls off. But if you can take that early game planning and just add some little detailed rules, like take 2 gases at a time, then take another 2, that sort of thing, it's going to clean things up. So even if you don't have an exact gas timing, just make sure you take both gases at once, because then it halves the APM. Rather than going build a gas, come back 30 seconds later, put 3 workers on gas, build a gas, come back 30 seconds later, put 3 guys on gas, you halve that APM and that attention. And that's really important in StarCraft, right? Even at high level, unless there's a really good reason and you know your build exactly and you need just 1 extra gas right now and you need the minerals, you always want to do that. So this is like, think about it. We always talk about this in Bronze GM, batching tasks up. So maybe, oh, when I build my robos, I also get my 3rd and 4th gas. Whatever the rule is, you figure it out for yourself, but make sure you're doing these all together. And hey, I'm floating money. Okay, we should build a lot of gateways. And maybe that's just a default part of your build is, hey, we build 6 more gateways. We're up on 10 gates or whatever it is, right? So right now we're still super duper blind. Where is that observer? Oh no. So this is huge. Okay, finally the observer goes across. All right, we're building immortals. Anyways, to answer your question, if you know they're just massing Roach Ravager, Disruptor's hard counters it. So like I said, you can do the Immortal Arc on Charge Dance and you should be able to win with that. But if you're ever, you know, really feeling like you're behind, you need to turtle up. Definitely Disruptor's Rex. Storm is also pretty amazing versus Roachling Ravager. But right now, this is the scariest thing. Your early game was so detailed and planned, and right now, I'm watching you wearing a blindfold, wandering around the dungeon, and you're feeling all sorts of knobby objects, and you're going, oh, what's this? Oh, what's this? What's this? And I'm like, dude, number 1, pull your pants up. Number 2, what are we doing out here? Like, what is this? Your early game was so sick. Your early game is infinitely better than your mid-game honors. I don't know what you're trying to do out here, but this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And I'm saying that, Legoland, because I love you. And your early game was amazing, and it made me really proud. But I don't know what this is supposed to be. You haven't used your observer for scouting at all. We don't have any control groups. Ah, gross. Get rid of that shit, mate. Get rid of that shit. Oh. Use the pervert mode. Get the observer forward and either put it out the front to see them move out or try to get it up here in between the production, right? A lot of people put it here because then you can see what they're building. And you can see, oh, there's roaches rallying out if you just monitor that observer, or there's drones rallying out, or there's muters. Like if you just set it up in the main, right, and you can see if there's a hive, that'll be really good, right? That'll be awesome. But there's no reason for our army to be here right now. We've built a decent immortal count 5, but like we haven't warped in zealots yet. We're floating more and more minerals. We're still not at 10 gateways. 9 gateways is like, okay, but we've stopped building immortals. We're wandering around the map aimlessly. So what I see here is the only problem is not how do you defend Roach Ravager. It's you didn't have a game plan past your first attack. So if you said, I'm going to be aiming 3 base, I'm going to hit with like 7 immortals, a warp prism, we're going to add tons of archons and zealots off 10 gates, you know what? You'd probably 9 minutes be hitting, I don't know, 160 supply timing. You'd just win by having more stuff, most likely. And maybe with +1 attack as well, right? But as it is, this is just really disorganized, and I can kind of see it just early on from like the movement, because your army is just wandering around the map right now. No warp prism, only 1 archon. We've got lots of money floating, but we're not really doing anything to address it. Now we are making a warp prism, but remember that warp prism should be popping as we move out, right? As it is, we're kind of wandering across the map, announcing our presence to the opponent, giving him a minute or two to get ready, and then our Warp Prism will arrive and we might actually fight. So definitely just no reason to be over here right now. And you can see that, I mean, his army is not that big. If we had a few more Archons, 10 more Zealots, bam, we could definitely take a fight here for sure. Wouldn't be the prettiest fight, but I don't think your opponent's necessarily doing any super fancy micro. Drunk Wizard did a good job of recovering from the early damage. A little bit too much micro on the spreads there. And you just got to be careful on the numbers. If you're fighting head-on with Charged Archon Immortal, it's, yeah, just be really careful with how you engage. So we just wanted to let him come forward and engage the Immortals first and the Archons, and then let the Zealots engage if possible. But notice we're just spreading a little bit too far against these Biles. So notice we're clicking a bit too far off to the side and away from the fight, whereas those guys should have just moved forward a little bit. Because if you move your units out of the battle completely, then that's really huge, and that means your Zealots are being isolated while the rest of our armies move commanding. So that's like a really common micro thing, is just keep you guys in the fight. And if you commit to a fight, you damned well want to know that you're able to win it. But we've got 1,500 minerals, and we've just built like a 4th Nexus and all this other stuff, and we lost a lot of units before the fight really started, and then we were a bit disjointed. So it's really important you do it that way. One of the best things you can do is obviously Zealot backstabs as well. So if you weren't going for a push, you could take a 4th, be going Robo Bay to counter the Roach Ravager, right? Disruptors, and just do Zealot counters and just add Disruptors and add all the tech in the game, or add Storm or whatever it is, right? But I think for what we were doing, especially if we're not using control groups and we're kind of wandering around, it's like, just have a second timing attack in mind, and always have a timing attack in mind, guys. A lot of people, they take that, they have the first attack. In this case, it was a beautifully crisp Glaive Adept opening, but have another attack as well. And at this stage, we should be so paranoid with these units, man. They should not be wandering around the map. We should be in a very central defensive position near our batteries, near our bases, because there's just so many things we could just die to, and we're showing zero respect for our opponent. So don't wander around the map unless you got a good reason to do it. Awesome. Yeah. Zealot Archon Immortal, it's a melee army, so it's kind of like fighting with Zerglings would be my final point. Whenever you engage with Zerglings, you don't run 10 Zerglings into 10 Roaches, right? It's all about build your numbers, and then surround and collapse all at once. A similar dynamic as anytime you have a shorter ranged army versus a long ranged army. So if you are, say, playing a Bio army versus a Colossus Stalker based army, right? You don't just run into it randomly, because they're always going to have the better start to the fight. So when you commit to a fight, you need to really commit and kind of surround or flank. So what do we often see, right? Think of like Clem coming in from 2 or 3 sides, dodging disruptor shots, and then like killing the whole army, right? So whenever you have a shorter ranged army, it's very important that if you're not ready to fight, you just run away, just pull way back, give up a base if you have to, give up ground. And if you are attacking, make sure you commit with everything, preferably from 2 sides at once, as a good way to try and get that engagement going. If they're really good at kiting, like I said, it's really hard to actually take an aggressive fight with Charged Archon Immortal. So the way you'll see most pro gamers do it, they fly the Prism in the main, and they're like, hey, there's 10 Zealots here, deal with that. And then they can A-move the front, and it's much harder for the Zerg to stutter step the front while splitting to deal in the main. So you could also do that just by running 6 Zealots down the right, moving into this base while you attack up the guts into the natural, right? Just do anything so that they don't have the single easy thing of shoot, pull back, shoot, pull back, shoot, pull back, because that's the scariest possible position, right? And yeah. If you ever get on top of the Ravagers, they crumble. But if your opponent uses their creep, their micro, their biles really well, they definitely can have very good fights. So the micro and how these engagements happen are so game-changing on both sides. They get all their Ravagers force fielded or caught by surprise with a flank. Their army crumbles and it looks like trash. You get your units picked off a few at a time, like here, where we lost basically both Archons and an Immortal before the fight even starts. And then the Immortals and Archons are kind of scared away, and we weren't spending our money. And essentially, he got to just kill our army piecemeal, one little bit at a time. Very nice play by Drunk Wizard there. GG Legoland though, I love the opening. The Glaive Adept opening is super sick, dude. Double Robo and third base follow-up is awesome. If you can just batch up a few of the things in the follow-up, like that is a god tier opening. And I think if you can just have any level of improvement in your organization afterwards, you're going to just destroy. Because that was like, I love the proxy gate off on the side of the map. 4 gate adept. You're hitting at the same time as someone who goes for the prism, but you're skipping it, which means a faster third. Then you get the double robo transition. It's just, I love it. I really like that opening. So very impressed, mate. I scouted the proxy gate cannon rush, but despite being a fat cheeser, my cheese defense needs work. What part of my response is lacking? And should I have pulled more probes? I might be busy volunteering during a stream, but I'll definitely watch the VOD later. No worries. This is, of course, from Activillain. So he scouts it. Guys, this is one of the firmest rushes out there. This is a turgid rush. Now, hang around when you scout the proxy so you can check, is it 4 gateways or is it a forge? And if you see this, it is going to be super all in. Now, what makes this rush so scary is this is kind of like someone who goes for the proxy hatch, but never takes gas. It is a gasless all-in. So the Protoss never goes past 16 or 17 probes. They have 1 full mineral line. All they're doing is building zealots and cannons. There's no gas, there's no cyber core. And as a result, there's no let up in the aggression. There's no point where they, oh, I'm going to build some gases now. They're almost never going to expand. This is one of the most all-in rushes in the book. So the first thing you got to worry about is the zealots and then cannons coming in. They'll start the pylons first, then the zealots will come in and the cannons start, right? So the best thing to do is to just completely wall them off. Because we've gone a low ground wall off, it's a little harder, but I think we should still be able to do it. Just go at gateway and then wall off completely with a cyber core. If they come in a little bit earlier, you might want to just go for a triple gate wall off. Is totally fine. And if you think about it, if they got 2 gates, you go 3 gates and you just chrono zealots, you can overwhelm them. And if you just have 1 gas mining, you don't need any more than that. Just make sure you, as always, build a second pylon, big part of any cheese defense, right? And get a cyber core down, and then you can start building stalkers. And once you've defended the push, overwhelm the zealots, you make stalkers, and obviously you just overwhelm them. So he's got a pylon there. If they do get the pylon up like that, what would you do? I guess pulling a few probes is okay. It's not too bad, but because we haven't built a second pylon, we've lost the game already. So this just brings us back to Rule 101. We talked about this 1,000 times in Bronze to Jam. What is the first thing you see when you get cheesed? Even if we didn't have a set response. Like, I just went through the pro response of what we should do. Let's go through the basic response. What is the first thing you do when you see a cheese from Bronze to GM? Second pylon, zealot, second gateway, cybercore. And stop probing at 16 probes on minerals, 3 on gas. That's it. Pump out a zealot or 2, chrono them, and then make stalkers or adepts as needed. And I think in this scenario, that probably would have cut the mustard. But I think we were supply booked for a little bit there, right? Yeah, we were supply booked for a long time. Yep. Yeah, it's a little painful. We need to be chronoing those. And if you do go for a cyber, if you don't have a wall off, definitely trying to get shield batteries up will help. But I think if we have a low ground wall off, we really want to make sure that we get that out. So generally speaking, just keep in mind 2 gates and a forge. Same with proxy 4 gate. Build as much stuff as you can. Now, there is another option for the wall off, which is probably what most people would prefer. Immediately drop a forge is the other way with the wall off, right? So immediately, as soon as we scout it, we go, oh, okay, forge, gateway. And that way we don't need gas. We could even just only rally extra probes onto gas. So we go gateway, forged for the full wall off, get a cannon down, and then we can just expand behind it once we have a cannon up, because they're not even going to be able to get in. So full wall off shuts down this sort of build super duper hard. You will absolutely crush it. The problem we're going to have is he's going to end up with like 4 zealots in here. Like, he's fighting 2 zealots versus 1 probe at a time. Now another zealot and stalker come out. He doesn't actually have a pylon up. Oh yeah, you have this game in the bag. Just don't take bad fights. Pull the zealot back. Good zealot micro. And we're just a little bit slow. And yeah, we could have just pulled more probes if we wanted. Just keep building probes and A-move some probes down here. But he's just distracting us well enough, and we're getting a bit too, yeah. If we just had like 1 more unit or we killed the probe or whatever, but I think honestly, it's just remember to build your second pylon. You would have had more units on time, and you would have had that easy peasy, mate. Second pylon, zealot, second gate, cybercore. The standard checklist of how to respond to any proxy cheese is Protoss. So guys, Barkas is like, dude, what went wrong in the first 7 minutes of this game? I'm a 4500 Master 3 Protoss. How do I get out of the cycle of bad trades? What is the policy and when to add gases and tech? So what we're going to be looking at here is a bit more of an inclusive kind of like, hey, how can I play PvT? Because that's what this sounds like to me, right? So let's start from the very beginning. And that is really going to be focusing on some of these basics, okay? First things first, guys, first pylon. So he's going to go first pylon right on 100 minerals. Perfect. Doubled, 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 doubled. Perfectly doubled up workers so that they're on the close patches. Very nice. Chrono boost probes even before the pylon finishes. Wow, very ambitious. Okay. Here, like 1/3 of a second supply block. Now, one thing is Barcus is really slow at changing the rally point, I guess, but does seem to still be doing it on time, so it's fine. Just I would be changing this rally point the moment the probe pops out is like the way I prefer to do it. Ooh, we're sending him down there too early. Yeah, I guess we've been eBay blocked recently and we're paranoid. Okay, fair enough. I would not send him down there until about now, about a minute is usually when it goes down, but that's fine. So we're gonna go for a scout across the map. We've got one guy on gas, so I would go 16 on minerals, 3 on gas if I'm playing Twilight, and if I'm playing Stargate, then I would do what we're doing with the extra guy on gas early. It's your call, doesn't really matter either way, but just what I do. Immediate Cybercore before Nexus. We are losing a fair bit of mining time from both probe scouting and sending this guy down here. So I do think it's a better policy to just basically what you do to check the eBay is rather than send this guy down so early, I would just have him mining minerals. So we're 16 on minerals, and then this first worker to go on gas, I tell it to go down there, mine minerals, and then come back up and go on gas, basically. That's what I would do personally. Up to you. It's only a few minerals. I don't think it's going to affect the outcome of this game massively. It's just in terms of both probe scouting and sending a probe down here, I feel like I don't know. It just feels like a little bit much minerals. I don't know if it matters all that much. Now, okay, Nexus goes down. We queue up a probe. We're going to go 21 pylon before second gas, which makes sense because we've gone Cybercore first. And then the second gas will go down. Looks like a pretty clean opening. We didn't block his expand though, did we? So that's a bit of a mistake there, I think. I think we definitely should have blocked the expansion here, right? It's so worth it. He brought the extra SCV down late. If you just queue a circle and then go home, even if you just queued the circle and then go or 2 circles and then go home, you don't even need to actively micro it. You can just queue it to go loop, loop, doof, 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 and then go home, and it's almost never gonna die. Not the end of the world, once again, just one of those bonus things you can throw out there with your APM. More important to not mess up your build, of course. Adept will go across the map as well as Warp Gate. And it looks like we're going to play really defensive with the Adept. I do think it's much better to pressure with the Adept a lot of the time, because you do need to scout with it. So let's make sure we scout at the latest right now. Because there's a Stalker out, we need to go scout. Yeah, Stalker should kill the Reaper. Reaper sees that we're going Twilight. He gets 1 probe, that's fine. And our Adept just needs to see... Ooh, don't go in the natural. No, that's not important. What's that? Why do we patrol our shade? Guys, the only reason you send the Adept across the map is to see if the factory is on the reactor. And if it is, you basically hightail it home with your Adept so you don't lose it to the Hellions or anything, and you basically just build extra safety. If you're normally a guy who doesn't have that many gateway units, you're more aware there could be a very fast Hellion dive, so you've got to leave a unit or 2 in the wall, maybe even full wall if you see Hellions, or just have extra units ready for the drop of Widow Mines coming in. So factory on the reactor is obviously very dangerous. High chance of armory coming in with that as well, so if I was thinking about my opponent if I was thinking about skipping detection, I definitely wouldn't do it in this sort of game. Now, we're doing a 2-gate third base, and we're still going to drop the third in the face of this. We've got 4 Stalkers here, and we are going to go for the Hellion Wall. Oh, beautiful. Hellion Wall. I love it. And we're going to go for the central Stalkers. Remember, I talked earlier, guys, about Widowmine defense. Barcus is going to keep the Stalkers in the central position so he can respond. And he's got the pylon down there. He sees it. He sees it. He's not reacting. He's not reacting. Look at that, guys. Classic. Guys, for those who don't know, if you're a TERRAN player, look at this. Protoss players are like cats. All you need to do is go, hey, look here. The Reaper is like a fucking, it's like doing the laser light on the ground. Check this out. Look at Barcus's camera here. Check this out, guys. Wait, no, the Reaper didn't even distract us. What the hell? Oh, we're just canceling the gate and then rebuilding it? Oh no! Okay, so basically Barkus just started second guessing himself with the weird wall off. He was like, oh, actually I don't want that weird wall off because then my stalkers can't get out except by blinking and that's gonna be awkward. And we just missed it flying right in. And why is this so huge? It's because guys, we know 4:30 onwards, our eyes should be glued to the minimap, right? Our eyes should be glued to the minimap. Now I would never do the fancy wall off. I would just leave a normal wall off and just leave one stalker not on control group in the wall, right? So just knowing there were 2 Hellions, we super mind gamed ourselves. Exactly. Yeah, we definitely just super mind gamed ourselves because we knew there were Hellions. We're like, yeah, do I do this wall? Do I do that wall? We're just take any time you're indecisive, choose a set response so that you're not distracting yourself. Because all you should be doing at this point is eyes glued to the minimap. Eyes glued to the minimap, building probes, building a pylon, doing whatever those normal things are, but glancing at the minimap while you do it. At this point, 4 minutes to 4:30 to 5 minutes, you're not staring at the minimap. You're not staring at your macro being like, gotta build this right away, gotta build this right away. And this was so much vision, we really should have seen this coming in. And that should have been a complete shutdown. He doesn't even have an armory, so let's see how well we respond here. Oh no! Oh, such a slow response. Oh no. Really well set up, but just, I can tell that your indecision over the gateway mind gamed yourself, yeah. Interesting point. If they're going 3-Rex, they can have more workers in the natural? Why would they have more workers? Because no second gas. Really? I never thought of scouting that. I guess that makes sense. But wouldn't they still be building the 2nd and 3rd barracks? So there's an extra so there's 3 less workers in the main that would be on the natural. But there's 1 extra worker potentially building an engineering bay or a barracks. Okay, that's very cute. I never thought of that. That's actually a really... That is a 5... Yeah, that's Barkas said that, Ryan. That's a 5-head scout. Where'd you learn that from, Barkas? Who said that? Probably someone watches Harstem stream. This is why I wish I was actually awake when European streamed, man. I could actually watch the pro gamers who are so much smarter than me. John Bomb said it? Fucking, if John Bomb figured this out on his own, John Bomb's a genius, dude. John Bomb's a fucking genius, dude. That's crazy. Okay. It is very important to see the factory on the reactor as well, though. So just keep in mind, you do want to check both. Obviously, you saw the Hellions, but you lose the Adept. Actually, no, your Adept got home? Where's the Adept? Oh, right. You shaded past and threw it away a little bit. I mean, you end up at least seeing the reactor, which is something. Now, he probably heard it from some pro. Oh, I don't know. I'm going to give John Bomb credit for that, man. Alright, so we take big damage. No real reason that should have happened. It's actually fascinating that it was only 2 Widow Mines. That probably should have been 4 with the reactor opening, but it is what it is. You've got 3 Nexus, so you actually can bounce back from damage like that so easily. We're building 2 Observers. We're now going Charge, Forge. Yeah, the gateways are a little late, but did you see the 3rd CC? Yeah, and we haven't scouted anything either. Why have we not got an observer across the map? I think because you thought there might be an armory. I think even if there's an armory, you do want to always send an observer across the map. I think you always want to do that, because if you saw this 3rd command center, you would know to like hold that probe key down right now. Alright, we lose a couple probes there, not the end of the world. And if I saw that 3rd CC, I would immediately be dropping a 4th base. Or doing, like 4th base, proxy gateways, or be going splash damage, right? One or the other. Because this just shows he can't really be aggressive. Like, this army is so weak. You could just kill that 3rd base with the Zealot timing. So if we were just doing the forward gate, or transitioning into double Robo, Colossus, Storm Drop, whatever it is, we could do that right now. We don't have a battery on our 3rd, and we're taking some really sloppy fights. I feel like we're trying to be way too fancy in these engagements. I don't... Whoa. This is like, okay, so this is really interesting. Barkas, you're trying to play like a pro gamer. I don't know what you're doing with this army this whole period. First things first. Are your stalkers on a different key? They are. Okay. So that first stalker A move across the map where they path separately actually cost you a lot, right? It's unfortunate it happens. But let's see our micro here, okay? Focus. First of all, we still don't have an observer out front. Why have we... Oh, your observer's on your control group. Get that observer off that control group yesterday, dude. Even if you're worried about Widow Mines, don't worry, you can bring it over manually. Your observer should have been spotting him because you should have the vision. So even before the fight starts, you should already be target firing. All right, so we almost get a Widow Mine. We should definitely kill it. Yes, we do. Blink back and then focus this Widow Mine, blink back. All right, definitely could micro this a little better. You're doing all right though, but Yeah, the observer should have been a bit further behind. Anyways, so he rotates. We're just going to make zealots. I don't know why we have 3 sentries here. If you go 3 sentries, I really think if you want to play the sentry style, play immortals as well. If you're going to play sentries, you're very force field focused, and actually go 4 or 5 sentries and keep building immortals, chrono immortals, because then your stalker sentry immortal will slay. That's number 1. Number 2, where's your zealot run by? These first zealots, I know it feels awkward. And it's especially awkward because you didn't build a battery. You should have just built a battery here. You already have a pylon. If you just build a battery there, that'll be something you can easily defend with the battery. But send all your zealots to go up and then attack the natural or the third. And then you could warp in more zealots to respond. Now, the reason why we'd go more sentries is you're going to fuck up your force fields, right? You're not going to be as good as creator. You're going to mess it up. So that's why we get 1 or 2 extra sentries so you can do that. And you build immortals. Or we just go 1 sentry for Guardian Shield and we do nothing but Zealot, Stalker, A-move with the Guardian Shield, right? Pick one of those directions and do it. Either way, though, the Zealots should always be running around their army. Unless he's literally going to kill you right at this very moment, send the Zealots around. You always need to get the Zealots around. Think about Max Packs. It's always got that Warp Prism over here. 1 Zealot runs in the third, 1 or 2, and he drops 4 in the main. That's what we want to make sure we do. Because otherwise, they don't have any pressure on them, and they get to pick the fights, okay? Number 1. Number 2, always have that shield battery at the third, even if you've got to build it further back. A bit awkward, but it'll be totally fine. Number 3, we are supply blocked pretty badly here. We finally build those pylons, which is good, but it's just a little bit late. So, yeah. Now, that blink made no sense. That was a silly blink. So we just threw away 2 Stalkers and a Zealot for 1 Widowmine. Really bad trade. That force field was unnecessary. He was already running away from you. So right now, I think you have a much better army than him, but you're kind of just a bit afraid. It feels like you got a lot of fear here. So let's see what happens. He's running away. Just pull back. He's running back. You pull back. There's no need to try to trap him there. He's clearly out of range, right? Why are we still going forward? We let that Widowmine get a big splashy. Pull back, pull back. Why are we still going forward into his Widowmines and his bio? We're trying to kind of trap him here, but you don't really have the numbers, so it's a bit of a weird issue. And we're basically dead at this point now, because we've just taken too many bad trades. No worries, Barkas. But I really do think if you're building sentries, there's no reason to build multiple sentries unless you're playing Immortals. It just doesn't make sense. Other than that, you can skip the third gas if you want, but no, you're playing Robo. You kind of need that third gas. Yeah, you need it. Okay, cool. Some pretty good details in your play, but yeah, definitely get the Observer across the map way earlier so you have the information. And if you're not going to get a Warp Prism early, which, to be fair, in general, I think setting up the Zest Gate here, a Zest Gate there, is always good. Because then you can just warp in Zealots, A-move them in, and the Terran player is going to look much more immortal if you make him fight in 2 places at once. Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys? Do we do Newbie stream every Tuesday? No, we do educational stuff on this day every week, but it varies. All right, guys. Good play by Barkas in the early game. Just wasn't paying attention to the minimap when the Widowmine drop came in. It was a bit of a late Widowmine drop, which, let's be real, guys, the late Widowmine drops tend to catch us out. But it was still like right on the 455 mark, I think, when it entered our vision, so I'd say it's still in the period where we should have been on point with it, right? I think your additional gateway timing was all right, Barkas. I think it would have been a bit earlier if you didn't take the damage, right? But I think like it seemed pretty good, right? 3 gas, you got the third up, you've got your pack of Stalkers, you're building Observers, and then you just like forge 5 or 6 extra gateways, start massing the Zealots. I would just add that like I said, get a forward pylon and a gateway up on the map is so nice. Yeah, so nice. This one's from Denim Chick and says, how do I stop a 3-base mutilating Bane timing when I've committed to air toss? Okay, so once again, this is us calling you guys out for saying you're doing something when you're not. First things first, guys, if you're playing against a Zerg or even a random, you should always be building a pylon on the low ground and trying to wall off down there. It's just going to give you a better setup. It's much more awkward trying to expand and wall off later otherwise. So number 1, always go for that wall off on the low ground. Now, the reason I'm saying we're not committed to Skytoss is in this game, we went for multiple Stargates, but we also, why are we massing gateways? So the thing is, we're not really committing to Skytoss. First problem is we're building Stalkers, multiple Stalkers, a very good early game defense against Terran and Protoss. They're not really that much use against Zerg. They'll help versus Roaches, but you definitely don't want to build too many of them. So you do have to be careful. Not having a wall off as well makes us incredibly vulnerable here. Now, we've done a decent job of building our probes, and this is why I was kind of confused, because the build order with like no wall off and stuff is a bit of a mess. But you really want to make sure that you... So our first Oracle killed some drones. But we did pause our probes for a long time there. We're not taking a third base. And part of building Void Rays and Oracles is you can secure a third very well. But I would say, hey, if we're playing Skytoss, go full Skytoss. Why bother making gateways? We don't have any upgrades. These units aren't very helpful. If we get attacked, cannons and batteries are going to do much better than unupgraded stalkers. So in general, guys, you want to play Skytoss from the get-go, just go straight for Skytoss. Get a forge, build a cannon or two there, get a third up, build a few cannons and batteries there, and then go straight for it. Don't bother with the 3 gateways. The 3 gateways just doesn't really help us that much. If we see a particular cheese or rush coming, I don't know, maybe we can react with them. But there's just no reason to be building 3 gateways otherwise. Likewise, we're defending with probes. We still have not even secured our natural. We're just taking damage for no good reason, and that's because we never walled off. Now we're building 6 gateways, but we don't even have a Twilight Council. We have no upgrades. So what we're seeing here is we're not committing to Skytoss. The question was, how do I defend Mutiling Bane when I've committed to Skytoss? But you're not. You're committing to a 2-base ground all-in. If someone's going to 9 gateways at the 6-minute mark, then you're doing a 2-base gateway attack. You're doing a 2-base timing attack all in on the ground. Just because... So what I'm pointing out here is the infrastructure doesn't make sense with the game plan. So this is not how do I beat my opponent. This is how do I untangle my own legs and stop beating myself. And this is something we keep answering on these newbie streams because people always say, hey, this is my intention. And then I look at the replay and I go, that's not your intention because I can see what you're doing in the game and it doesn't add up. You've got 9 gateways. That's not Skytoss. Now we're trying to take a third. We still don't have a wall off here. Hopefully we build some cannon battery there, some cannon battery here to defend. Now, if we're playing Mutas, Phoenix are the hard counter, guys. Phoenix are the hard counter to Mutalisks. Void Rays do pretty good versus Corruptors. But we still haven't set up any defense on our wall, on the natural, or on the third. And, yeah. You'll even see, like, Rocker, for instance, full walls his natural every game, builds a pylon, and pops his probe out to take his third, right? Can do stuff like that. But now we're going Robo. So, guys, this doesn't make any sense. I thought we were committing to Skytoss, but we've got 9 gateways that we've used for nothing. Now we're building a Robo, a Forge, and a Twilight. Now, what are we getting into? We are getting into the realm of we're just doing things with no goal. We're going double air upgrades. But it's 7.5 minutes. We've only built a handful of Void Rays, and now we're not even building any more of them. So what I look at here is there is no direction in this game plan, and this is something we see time and again in these newbie streams, is people are doing things, but with no intention. Now, what is the problem? Pig, I don't know as much as you. I don't have that intention. The problem is you guys aren't thinking about an attack. How do I have intention? How do I make sure my strategy lines up and I'm going in a direction? How do I do all these kind of vague terms that you're throwing out, Pig? Like, come on, man, give me some actionable advice so your average ladder baboon can actually put it into practice. So what's the answer, guys? The answer is pick an attack. This all ties in together. This is all the one. You always need to know what your attack is. Maybe we're going for an 8 Void Ray attack into carriers, and then we'll do a 6 carrier 8 Void Ray attack with +2 air weapons finishing. Bam! We can actually go do that stuff, right? We can go do that. That would be awesome, right? That would be huge. But instead, we're just wasting money on different tech trees that don't do anything for us. So what we're doing is we're sitting there and we're too afraid to be the person who goes first. We're going, oh, I might need gateways in case they do this. I might need a robo in case there's lurkers because I'll need detection. But I am kind of playing Skytoss, but I'm afraid to build. I don't know if I should build Void Rays or Phoenix or Oracles. Pick a plan. You always need a baseline trunk to your tree that you follow, and then you can learn when to adapt off of that. But what I see right now is a rotten tree trunk. This is such a bad baseline plan. There's nothing solid to work from. So this is unfortunately the thing which I come to a lot in these days where I'm like, I want to tell you guys the advanced reactions. I want to tell you how to adapt to your opponent's playstyle. But I can't tell you how to do that until you get a bit of basic cardio in, right? You know, so to speak. Until you get a build order that's heading in a direction rather than 4 different competing directions. Because otherwise, it's just, you're not going to have enough. It doesn't matter what you commit to here. Your base is not solid. You know, your base is not solid. You don't have the base level Protoss fitness in this game. Because are we going ground or are we going air? We haven't made up our mind, and we're not going to make up our mind. There's nothing we can do here. But I want to be flexible. How can I pick an attack if I want to play reactive, says Eon Blue. Great question. Do you have 400 APM? You fucking virgin? No? You're not Cyril? Get the fuck out of here with this reactive bullshit. Reactive play is something that is in the details. It is not, oh, I'm just gonna, like you guys ever rock up to work one day and say, I'm gonna work reactively today? Has anyone ever said that? What does your boss say? If you're like, I'm just gonna kind of like see what happens and maybe do some stuff. No one's fucking, no. Once problems arise, you can adapt around them, sure, but you need to have a baseline idea of what your fucking responsibilities are first, right? You need to have you need to have an actual idea of what the focus is, and you can react completely, you can go drastically different directions. But if you don't start with a plan, what are you doing? You're sitting there picking your nose with one hand, scratching your ass with the other, while doom scrolling fucking Facebook memes from your uncle about politics. You're not getting any work done. And that's what this build looks like, and it's what a few of the builds have looked like today. Where it's like, yo, I guess I'll get some Stargates. I guess I'll get some gates. Guys, we've invested in 9 gateways at 6 minutes, and what have we used them for? We've built 6 unupgraded Stalkers. One of the most useless investments in the game. And this is, many of the replays we've seen today are like this. Because what's happening is we are not using our investment. We're building one thing, not using it. Oh, now I'll go build this other thing. Now I'll go build this other thing. And what we're doing because of that is we are not exerting our presence on our opponent. That's why you as a player need to always be thinking about how can I go and attack my opponent? And you know what, guys? What if we go for this Void Ray Assault? So we've got 8 Void Rays coming across the map at 7 minutes, and we've kept our Oracle alive. So our Oracle's gone in and it's tagged them, and we see Mutalisks popping out. And we've already got our 3rd getting saturated. We're taking the gases. We're going up to 3 3rd Stargate and a Fleet Beacon's on the way. And we see Mutas popping out. What do? Holy shit. Now, within our build, we can do a reaction. So what do, guys? If we're going to be super cheeky, our Void Rays all fly down here, wait for the Mutas to get halfway across the map, then they run in, snipe a hatchery, and recall home. While we're waiting to do that, we build 2 cannons and a shield battery there, 2 cannons and a shield battery here, 2 cannons and a shield battery here, and we cancel our 2 carriers of Void Rays, start chrono boosting Phoenix, get the Fleet Beacon down, or the Fleet Beacon's probably already building. We're going to start Phoenix range, we're going to chrono Phoenix out. That is a reaction. That is reactive play off of a solid foundation. But when people say, I want to make up the plan as I go, what you're saying is you want to play bad StarCraft. And if you want to have a bunch of beers and just do some stuff, do it, but do it aggressively. So if you guys want to play completely, I just want to make it up on the fly, go for it. On the fly, make sure you pick an attack though, because otherwise you're building buildings, you're not building army. And that's what we see here with the 9 gateways and the 2 stacks. We see a lot of buildings, no army, no attacking. And what does the Zerg get to do? This Zerg has taken the gas so disgustingly early, and they've just massed up gas. They have no army whatsoever. They've got 11 Zerglings, 3 Queens. They barely have an anti-air. They don't even have a Spore on their 3rd, but they're able to take a 4th, go straight to mass mutas, and then just click them into the base across the map. And that is the freedom you get when your opponent doesn't attack you at all and also doesn't commit to anything in one direction. And especially against a Zerg player, this is even more of a trap. This, I want to play reactively, because the Zerg can build 20 mutas all at once. Build 20 roaches all at once. Bam, swap into ultras. Zerg can tech switch very sharply. Protoss cannot do that. We have to build our infrastructure up and build our units 1 or 2 at a time. So it's going to be a much more slow and methodical process for us. So I hope this kind of fun rant really explains for you guys the point of why, how do we go to this game plan? We start off and say, I want to make Void Rays and carriers and kill Zerg. That's where you start, and then you work your way back and you say, okay, we're going to start with an Oracle to harass. We're going to have 1 Oracle. Then we're going to just basically just build Void Rays, macro up, take a 3rd, and we're going to do 6 Void Ray attack. We're going to aim to hit it 7 minutes, hopefully earlier than that, I would hope. You know, and then behind that, we're going 3rd Stargate, Fleet Beacon, building cannons and batteries, and going to carriers. And then, as we encounter situations that beat us, we look at it and we go, oh, you know what? I flew my first Oracle into a Spore. Adjustment. Remember to watch the Oracle as it goes in. If there's a Spore crawler, I'm going to have to micro it. Okay, number 1. If I'm playing against a quick Hydra build or lots of Queens, my Void Rays are going to have to pull back, and I'm going to need to build cannons earlier to defend their push. There's like 1,000 reactions within StarCraft, but they come off that solid plan. And you might even be like, oh, you know what? if they're already going Phoenix and I'm going Void Rays, I'm actually going to swap out of air. So I'm going to stop building Stargate units and I'm going to build a Twilight, 8 gateways, and we're going to go into Blink Stalkers and then hopefully surprise him with the ground swap and win with a big Stalker push. You can completely shift gears. You can change your style massively, drastically, but it always has to come off a solid foundation that applies no matter what. So I hope that helps you guys out. The real important thing is, you know, do things with intention. And if you look at a pro build, you're going to realize usually it makes sense. Now, in Denim Chicken's defense, Denim Chicken did not play a bad game, guys. I don't know what league this is, what MMR. I think it's like Platinum 3 or something like that. It's not a bad game. There's things that can be improved, but there's a lot of things being done right, and I'm really impressed by some of Denim Chicken's skills. So high five, Denim Chicken. Also, Denim Chicken may have watched Zest play Skytoss. Zest regularly makes 9 gateways and doesn't build a single gateway unit off of them. While we're back in the Void Ray meta. Do you guys remember this? I'd be like, oh, Zest is building 7 gateways, but he doesn't have a Twilight Council. And he would not, for the rest of the game, they'd just sit there, do nothing. And I was like, I think this is, if the Zerg all ins, he can make Stalkers. I think that's the point. And like 80% plus of the games, they just did nothing. Zest just had this like weird gateway explosion in his Skytoss builds, which he would very rarely use for anything. It was bizarre. It was the strangest thing I'd seen. I was like, I don't know what you think you're doing here, Zest. This was early days Zest Skytoss. It was very confusing. GG, well played though, by Denim Chicken. And guys, that whole rant was not aimed at Denim Chicken. So Denim Chicken, if you watch that and feel bad, don't feel bad. That was literally a culmination of yours. Was probably the 3rd or 4th replay today that had the same issue of there's a question, but it doesn't really line up with kind of what I see in the replay, because there's more pressing questions, which is all about, of course, you know, the earlier stages, right? It's all about like, hey, wait a second, we're not really set up to do anything. Go hard in the direction you're going. Aim for an attack, guys. These are fundamental rules that will make you an infinitely better StarCraft player. Okay, so first things first, guys. This is going to be really hard because the double gas goes down. And that's a massive disruption to our normal game plan. So remember, guys, if someone goes double gas steal like that, that's obviously going to throw you off your build. However, if you see a really early probe come in, guys, and actually, let's see, we probably should have been able to take our gas here. Oh, you know what? If we just put our gas down, we would have been fine because we've actually got enough money, and this is when our gas goes down anyway. So rather than freaking out over the probe, Henry, if you just put this gas down, you'd still have 1 gas. Only losing 1 gas, not nearly as much of a disruption to your build. So just a hot tip there, do that. And if you ever want to block them from gas stealing, if you're like, oh, he's trying to gas steal, an advanced trick you can do is you can grab the probe,
Bezos box,
right-click on the extractor, the assimilator, the geyser, and go shift, hold position. So H is the automatic key. H, I think Americans say H, right? We say H. H. And then you can grab another probe and right click there and shift hold position. So the way you guys want to do it is, the thing is, an assimilator takes more space than the actual geyser that it's on. So if there is a worker or any unit standing right next to it, this cannot be placed. So by telling a worker to move to it and then hold position, he will not be able to place the building. Okay, guys? So that's a cute, hot little tip there. Now, I normally wouldn't stress over it. I'd just take my gas as normal, be like, oh, he stole the gas, whatever. And that's how it goes. Yeah, Americans are always confused because they don't pronounce words properly. But, this is where English was conceived, in Texas. That's what the golden tablet I found in my backyard told me. Praise the heathen lord himself. Anyways, Gateway, Nexus, Cybercore, and then we're going to need to take these gases, I guess, to catch up. So let's see how well we deal with this, because this is, we didn't get a second pylon. So yeah, definitely, if you're going to have to build a zealot here, remember, anytime you're going to build a zealot early, build a second pylon immediately. If we started that pylon now, it wouldn't be too bad. But instead, classic thing, whenever you get attacked or disrupted early, remember that, that the zealot's going to be going on as well. All right, so these gases could have been taken earlier. Think about it. You can take these gases when the Nexus is about halfway done, put 3 workers on it, and then they'll be mining fully by the time the Nexus finishes. So remember, same thing we were talking about earlier with if you lose a base, you got to rebuild it. You can drone it up ahead of time. Same thing with the gases. You did a pretty good job here though, Henry Kills. I'm pretty impressed overall. Now, you're trying to take the extra gases as well. Fair enough. Just make sure you keep hitting your probes here. And we'll see how we recover. So we're going to build a bunch of gateways, get the robo. Yeah, we're trying to get back on build track pretty. And you're way ahead on the workers. You're so far ahead on the workers. This is kind of cool. All right. Yeah, we've only got 3 gateway units. So if we warped in a few more stalkers and then just left them in the main base, we'd actually be fine. If you warped in 2 or 3 stalkers, even though it slows the gateways down, you don't need the gateways this early. You haven't started your immortals yet, right? So you're actually going for the gateways a bit earlier than you need to. Remember, we do like to have those 6 safety gateway units, Henry kills, remember? And you've only got 3. And if you're ever worried about oracles and stuff, you know, remember just 3 stalkers in the main and these 3 guys on the natural and you'd be good. So that would have been huge. Anyways, let's see how quickly we respond. Because this is something, a lot of people go, oh, but I'm not ready, whatever, you know, and a lot of people will look at what this oracle does and they will lean away from the problem and say, I can't do better. No, it's too hard, it's too hard, it's too hard. That's a cop-out. Don't ever do that, guys. Don't ever just go, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I just can't defend. What can we look at here? First things first, I do not like this building placement at all. Because we're blocking our own base. We literally warped our stalker in a cage. So if we want to have better building placement, I would prefer to put this pylon out here in the open where there's more building space. Another pylon over here. Lots more building space, okay? So I really think just put those pylons out in the open is going to be better for you, man. It's going to be so much better. Salt Lake City. Are you guys, anyone there from Salt Lake City? Have we got, we've got a few Mormons in the chat. Any from your Salt Lake City? Anyways. Probes are going to be going back in. This oracle is going to kill so much. And this is super unnecessary, right, guys? Super unnecessary. So, rather than looking and going, oh yeah, I fucked up, I panicked. Number 1, try and build a habit of better building placement. Number 2, when the oracle flies in, what should we have done here, guys? Control click the probes or box them, whichever you prefer, but do a big one. And then click on the minerals on the natural, okay? What do? We definitely don't do that. We do a panic box, and we only get half the mineral line. Slow is fast. Fast is slow. You tried to do fast, and you ended up fucking up really badly, right? If you grabbed all the probes and ran them away in one go, it would be way more effective than running some away and just leaving the others there as sitting ducks. That probe box effectively did nothing, because he's still got targets he can kill. Okay, guys? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Okay? And then warp in stalkers, of course, which is what you've done. And then you probably F2'd, but I would grab these guys and I would actually move those back to the natural. Because it's the same thing if a Liberator comes in, battlecruiser, anything, we've always got to split up our air units to defend it, right? Got to keep the other guys in the other mineral line. So we didn't do that until then. We did actually split them. But we sent everyone down there because we thought he was going that way. We didn't leave anyone up here. Ah! Now the crazy thing is you're still way ahead at this point, even after that damage. Now you definitely need to build a battery in each mineral line now to be safe against the follow-up attacks. But no, oh no, he flew his oracle and died, so that's nice of him. That's kind. So we chrono probes to recover. We rally back to the main. I mean, you're doing a great job in that regard. We are building a second immortal. I mean, we still should just be doing the attack and going to win the game. There's no reason why we shouldn't, right? We're building an observer. Where's that war prism? Come on, we need to go. We need to go. Another chrono boost on that war prism, son. And where's our Templar archives? There it is. Yeah, we got this in the bag. This is game over. You just go kill him and you win the game. Easy peasy. You've done such a good job of not getting thrown off your game plan, despite 5 different distractions in this game. Well, not really. It was the gas steal and the oracle, but 2 pretty big distractions. Now, one problem we're having is we've left too many stalkers at home. If you're building a battery and you don't even know if he's got any defense, just grab, if you want to leave stalkers, leave like 1 or 2 stalkers in each mineral line. But we left way too many here, right? We could bring a few more stalkers. We're also moving across the map a little bit too early, and we're moving a bit deep. We really want to make sure we get those Archons warped in, another round of Zealots. You've got a lot of money building up. We should probably be warping in Zealots this whole time and running them across the map, right? Because that's normally what you do as you're moving out. You're warping in Zealots, running them out, and then you warp in Archons, you morph the Archons, all the Zealots catch up, and you go for your attack. You can see, where's our warp-ins right now? What are we building? Oh no, we pussied out! Oh no! no, we pussied out. We're going Forge and Third Nexus before committing to the attack. This should all be, we have 10 gateways ready. Just commit. Build those 10 zealots. You got this game in the bag, son. Now, don't get me wrong. He's got what looks like a pretty fierce army. But remember, no charge for your opponent. Oh my god, he's got the fucking skins that make the Immortals look exactly like the Stalkers. This skin set should be banned. Seriously, look at that. They look exactly the same. It's so hard to distinguish the blob when they're all just there. You're like, where? How many? How many Immortals? I hate this skin set. It's disgusting. It's not. It doesn't even look good. It just makes them look like an indistinguishable mass. It's the worst skin set there is. Disgusting. But no Archons morphing in, right? Okay, there we go. One Archon. We've got so much gas, so we really want to wait for the Archons to come in before we spend it. Because that's such a huge power spike. All that gas we've built up, especially after the damage and the delay on our attack. We really need that gas. So we're going to go for the fight, but you can't really morph. Oh my god, no! Henry! Henry! Oh no! Please, Henry, you're in chat. You got to tell me what you did wrong here. You should be able to see it, bro. Oh no. Can you see it? Did you see what you did? It was a little subtle because you didn't do it at the very start of the fight. Oh, and you did it again? Oh no! No! Yes, you focus fired. Don't do that. Oh no. Your zealots were all just literally playing Tag the Immortal and weren't fighting that whole fight, dude. You've got way better zealots than his because your guys are meant to charge and immediately get the concave. But instead, look at that. You clicked a Stalker, then you clicked another Stalker, then you clicked on the Immortal. Oh no, attack move, bro. Don't focus. If you're gonna... This is a golden rule. Everybody in this chat, I don't care what league you're in, you need to apply this rule right now. If you are ever going to focus fire, you are never allowed to do it except by manually. In general, not even just focus fire, any micro in a fight, attack, move, whole army. Now, if you want a micro on top of that, what do? You can box these units, click the Immortal, shift click the Immortals. Sure, you could do that. With these guys that can actually hit them from range and do bonus to armored. But 90% of your units in 95% of fights, a move is going to make them do a much better job than you could do with your micro. And that's even if you're Serral or someone like that. There are very specific moments where you want to select units and focus fire them. But that's like the cherry on top of the cake. And right now we are stomping on our own cake by getting these zealots to run in and focus fire things. This costs us so much money. And obviously never focus fire with melee units. He has more Immortals than me. I have Stalkers. I'll lose, so let me focus them. Way overthinking it. Yeah, way overthinking it. This is an A-move army, my friend. This is a really good A-move army. If you had the Archons, like I said, if you've got enough money for so many... If you had 3 or 4 Archons, you crush this fight so hard, it is just game over. So it's game over, dude. But also, if you attack moved, I still think you would have traded okay. First things first, he has more Immortals. What are those Immortals attacking in a fight? Zealots. Zealots are not armored units. These Immortals are doing 22 damage a shot, not 55. So they're not very good units. Not for their cost. Heck no. A Zealot attacks faster. So basically each Zealot is doing about as much DPS as an Immortal while costing 1/4 of the cost. So each Zealot represents the same power one of his Immortals does. Immortals are pretty shit. Unless they're hitting Stalkers. He also has more Stalkers. You only have 2 Stalkers, but you've got Zealot Archon in front. He's never going to be hitting your units. Honestly, it's just an A-move fight. Whoever has an angle, whoever has more stuff. The only real impact is if the Zealots are clumped up and you've got Archons hitting them, they'll do big splash damage. That's the only real big bonus that's going to be happening there. But yeah, still commit to your attack and just make sure, like I said, warp in the Zealots from home, warp in the Archons on the front. And what's the general rule? Just make sure your army actually gets a bit of strength before you go for the attack. If you made that extra round of Archons, if you just waited for another warp in, I know sometimes it feels awkward, but if you're patient and you did that, easiest win of your life, this fight. If you A-moved as well, I think you would have traded okay because you guys have almost identical army supply. And I think you having charge means you would have maybe not won, but it would have been a pretty close fight. So pretty good play from you to keep track of what's going on despite the early chaos. The thing you need to work on is your mental ability to say, I'm still confident in what I'm doing here. And look at this, these guys weren't A-moved as well. I'm still confident in my baseline game plan because I have kept my eye on the prize. And if you kept your eye on the prize, simple A-moving engagements, waited for the Archons, easiest win of your life here. Now let's see how you transition really quickly, because I do want to get to the heart of the question. I did spend longer on this replay, obviously, because I like looking at the Bronze to GM plan and how it's executed. We're making more Archons, more Zealots. We could build some more Immortals in here as well if we want, but even just having a lot of Archons is good. Sentries are pretty unnecessary. If you want one for Guardian Shield, why not? But probably only need one, not two. And once again, we outprobed our opponent. So if we just attack while doing a big Prism Warp in the main, attack the right side, Zealots in the main, I mean, that's a game-winning strategy. It looks like you're setting up for it. Okay, so why did he react so fast there? Oh, he actually reacted really quick. Yeah, definitely cue that to get in a bit deeper. You probably could have got the Zealot warping off. Now, don't get me wrong. If that happens, just go back here, warp in the Zealots, and just A-move the natural. Now, he does have some cannons, but if you go 8 Zealots, they're going to kill those cannons in no time. So you've got it easy. And you still got a big army on the right side. You could still overwhelm him here, but it looks like we're not confident in what we're doing. So we're kind of just sitting there with an army. We're not committing to the attack. How can you play this? You could go Disruptors, you could go Carriers on and get a 4th base up earlier. You could just commit to this attack. Just mass Zealot Archon. If you want a few Immortals in there, you can go for it. And just do a big Zealot multi-prong, you know? It was a really quick response from your opponent. But yeah, just do a big Zealot attack here, and then your other army attacks the right side. His army is mostly Stalkers, which are trash units at this point. He does have a decent Zealot count, but no Archons. So your army should absolutely annihilate him. Obviously, if he's in this position with battery overcharge and cannons, it'd be kind of hard. But he wasn't in this position before, so you would have been able to just kill the cannon battery and then fight into him. Or if you come from here and here and here at the same time with your army split, that could work. You're going to try to go in there. And nice Zealot warp in. All right. So your Zealots are going to do good damage. Now, obviously, you've got to be careful about fighting in a choke with what is essentially a melee army on the right side. But your Zealots have done a great job. Great multi-prong, dude. This is awesome multi-prong. The only fear is that you're not really warping in to reinforce your army at all. So you could always just be warping in Zealots there and bringing them to your army. And no reason not to continue your attack there as well, in my opinion, right? You're doing so much damage. We should have probably just kept it going. Oh, we're once again clicking on units. We're clicking on Stalkers now. Oh no, stop clicking on units, please. So we just A-move, just A-move. Stop microing. Stop clicking on things. No! Stop clicking on things! Okay, you were clicking on, don't click on things, guys. As a general rule, don't click on things. Very bad, very bad. Clicking on things, not good. This is still a good enough fight. We should win this game. Just leave these units to die. Oh no, we're making Stalkers. Don't make Stalkers. Keep making Zealots. You've won the game. You're winning. You're so far ahead. Keep making Zealots and Archons. You are making the winning composition. Don't make Stalkers. No. Oh no, we're warping it, Archon. No, just pull back. He's on 2 base. You don't need to defend your 4th. Pull back, make Archons, and just keep making Archons and Zealots. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. If we at least morphed Archons and activated Overcharge there, we still would have won this. But I think we've already got the lesson. I do like the Zealot counterattack here. Even here, you still win this game. If you just recalibrate, make Archons, make Zealots, make Archons, make Zealots. You've got so much money, so you should still win this game. But notice you keep morphing Archons at the front. Never morph Archons. Oh, and you're clicking on his units again! What is this micro? Why are you clicking on his units? This is crazy. I can't watch anymore. Henry kills, you didn't get plus 500 or 800 MMR when you stop clicking on units. You are going to get, like, that is actually a silly amount of MMR you're going to gain by not microing. I don't know if I've ever seen someone who will get so much MMR again. You will jump an entire league. You will get like 700 MMR from A-moving. It's actually insane. You did a really good job while disrupted of keeping your plan going. You attacked a little early, but it still would have been a decent fight. Like, we could have waited for the Archons. It's amazing. You are going to level up so hard. Fucking tell us, like, report in a week, in 2 weeks. We've got to hear the Henry Kills follow-up story on just how much MMR you gain in the next few weeks. It is insane how badly you've been hamstringing your army. You've been like, oh, nah, in the backseat politician who's like, General, move these soldiers here so we can do a pincer maneuver. Because I read that in a book once, and the general's like, oh, Jesus, fuck. And he's like, yeah, we probably shouldn't do that. And he's like, are you doubting my authority? Nah, you're fired. We're getting a new general in here. You know, that's kind of what you were doing with your army there. It was some real psychotic dictator backseating kind of thing. Just let your units do the job. Don't focus fire. If you ever want to do fancy micro, guys, because you enjoy it, go for it. But there's always, you manually select, ooh, you know what? I'm going to get these 4 zealots and click on the disruptor. I'm going to box these 2 immortals and click on his immortal that's nearby. Just keep it really basic, like really basic. And it's always like a bonus if you're like, oh, I can do it. You're going to absolutely destroy Henry kills. Good luck, mate. This is actually crazy. I've never seen someone focus fire so many times with what was essentially a melee army as well. Zealots and Archons, melee units, especially not with those. But in general, it's going to be huge. You just got back into it playing for 2 weeks. You're going to get some gains, son. Show us those pictures of that MMR in a week or 2.